Death is scary, to think about, to talk about, and no pun intended, to live through. Euthanasia is defined by Merriam-Webster Dictionary, as the act or practice of killing for reasons of mercy. I paraphrase that. However, if you have ever watched a loved one slowly die, you know how sad it is. My grandmother battled cancer, which is about what 80% of euthanasia patients die from according to Oregon state records. From the time that I was in kindergarten until March 31st, 2007, when I was in 7th grade, I had the unfortunate ability to watch my mom perish slowly and go through a lot of procedures and chemotherapy. Around the time of my bar mitzvah and my 13th birthday, I got the saddest gift ever, or the saddest news ever. My mom, Shirley, had less than 6 months to live. As she spent her remaining time in hospice care, and her beautiful face turned pale, and her beautiful body, not beautiful body, that's a little creepy, but her body turned frail, I got to say my final goodbye to my withering family member. I don't remember the full dialogue of the conversation, but I do recall what she told me at the end of our talk. I cried quietly the whole time, but toward the end I audibly sobbed, and she heard me, and just days away from dying, she laughed at me. "Jesse," she whispered into the phone as loudly as she could possibly speak, "I will live in peace and happiness until that final breath is taken from me. Nothing can take my joy of life away from me." We said our final love you and parted for eternity. My grandmother died about a week later, in pain, but full of content and happiness. My grandmother lived her whole life, only to be killed by natural means, unlike the case of Theodore Fox, who stated, "We shall have to learn to refrain from doing things merely because we know how to do them." His mother was in a similar situation to my grandmother when they had decided to euthanize her to give her a promised peaceful death. Unfortunately, when his mother was injected by the lethal injection, the most common practice in euthanasia, she did not die mercifully or instantaneously. Rather, she struggled for a few minutes, turning blue from oxygen deprivation, and then finally dying, tears streaming down her cheeks. Theodore had premeditated the killing of his own mother, and the irreversible decision sent her through pain and agony in the final moments of her life. What is worse, however, is not only did Mr. Fox lose his mother, but he is, by definition, a murderer in the first degree. Murder is defined by Merriam-Webster Dictionary as the crime of killing another person. I also paraphrase that. Euthanasia is the killing of another person. Throw the word mercifully in there if you would like to, but you are premeditating the death of another human being, punishable in the United States by life in prison or even death, which is to be determined in another debate. There is especially not a need for euthanasia, as a patient who is only living through medicine can legally decline the proper medication keeping them alive, and kill themselves in this manner if they truly would like to die. This is what Dr. Kubler-Ross states is the proper way to handle the dying patient, by not prolonging the death. Finally, a major issue in the euthanasia debate is about patient abuse. I understand that according to the Oregon law, my opponents have guidelines about age, illness, acceptance, and other rules to keep this problem out. However, as Kevin Irvine states, physician-assisted death is the ultimate money saver for hospitals. Mr. Irvine has been living with AIDS and is now healthy and with regulated medicine, but was trying to be convinced by his doctor years ago to be euthanized. Now a main leader in the cause to stop euthanasia, Kevin Irvine has had first-hand experience in the patient abuse that can come from the legalization of euthanasia. Euthanasia is supposed to just mercifully kill a dying patient, to keep them out of pain and let them die peacefully. However, as we can see, it is not always peaceful when you do it, and it can be peaceful if a person does die naturally. It is legal to decline medication if you are dying, and is a similar legal escape for a patient in enough pain that they truly want to die. Lastly, in a world ruled by money, patients are very vulnerable to being euthanized for financial reasons. Murder is murder, and you can try to put a spin on it to make it sound like a good thing. But when a person acts as the Grim Reaper, they are killing a person and therefore are criminals for it. Vote negative.